We are rolling on part 2 of our Extemp speeches on February 2nd, 2016 at UCLA, where it's a beautiful day. Sunshine is shining. We're about to hear an Extemp speech on Is Brazil headed for an economic depression?
Boa tarde, meu nome é Tommy. So if you guys don't know what that means, that's in Portuguese. I just said, good afternoon, my name is Tommy. So obviously my speech has to do with the Portuguese language, and that is the main language spoken in Brazil. So to get into more specifics, I'm going to talk about the economic situation in Brazil. So I'm going to answer the question, is Brazil headed for an economic depression? And my answer is yes. It is most certainly heading for an economic depression. And the reasons for that is that the GDP is shrinking, credit card APRs are rising, and there's corruption within the government. So why is this significant? Well, to start off, Brazil is one of the most sought-after places for people to go tour. I'm sure a lot of you, or at least some of you, have thought about going to Rio de Janeiro at one point. Also, the food and oil trade is very impactful on the international trading stage. Also, sports, if you guys are a fan of sports like I am, I love soccer and I love mixed martial arts, and Brazil is very influential on both of those sports. And also, it has the most important rainforest in the world. So, the first reason is that I feel that Brazil is heading for an economic depression is that the GDP is currently shrinking. In an article from The Economist that was written in August 2015, the GDP, which is the gross domestic product, which is a very telling number for economics, it shrunk 1.5%. And that may not seem like a lot, but it is actually a lot. It was the lowest that it's gotten since 2009 in Brazil. So, and that caused unemployment rates to go up, and yeah. So I feel that this is telling that Brazil will head for an economic depression because, and also in this article, economists, experts predicted that that the shrinkage will only increase. So, yeah, I feel that this is important to note, because if experts are predicting that the economy is going to decline, then it most certainly will decline. So that's my first reason. And second was about the credit card APRs. So in the United States, average APR is around 15–20%. In the double digits is kind of high, but it's not insanely high. But in Brazil, it's gotten to the point where they're reaching the triple digits. So it's very impractical for people to use credit cards effectively, because they're going to be in a lot of debt. So I feel that this is important to know. I feel that this is important to note because a lot of people use credit cards in everyday life. Unexpected costs arise at a lot of points. If I think about, for my case, when my dog got sick, I certainly had to use money that I wasn't planning on using. And when my brother got hit by a car, he broke his leg, and that was another cost that we didn't plan. So, you never think about when you're going to need to use this money, but sometimes you do, and credit cards are very effective. So that's really important. And the third reason is corruption within the government. In an article in the LA Times by Vincent Bevins, which was written in January 2015, he stated that a state-controlled oil company in Brazil called Petrobras had lost around $4 billion were unaccounted for in at the report of the end of the year. So it was incomplete and unaccounted for. So that's very questionable. Like $4 billion is a lot of money. So for that to suddenly go missing, it's obviously not good, and it's very telling of how corrupt the government is. So to summarize, my 3 points were the APR, the credit card APR is rising, the percentage, the GDP is decreasing, and the corruption within the government. And so there should be absolutely no doubt that Brazil is heading for an economic depression. And to show appreciation for you guys listening to me today, I will teach you guys how to say thank you in Portuguese. Obrigado.
Obrigado. Thank you. We are here. You already spoke? We're here. You spoke? Lala.
Hi everyone, my name is Lala.
Nice and loud speaking voice. Emphatic delivery, please.
What I really liked about your speech was that you had that connection. Since you speak Portuguese and the main language in Brazil is Portuguese, and I really liked how you tied the beginning to the end about the little language lesson. And I think the 3 points that you discussed are really relevant, and it is an issue going on. And yeah, I completely agree with everything you're saying.
Good. Thank you. Improvement.
Hello, my name is Mohammed.
Hi, Mohammed.
I thought your speech went really well, and one thing that I think you can improve on would be having your points ready. You stated it, but then you would remember an extra idea.
Yeah.
So, but other than that, I thought it was great. Thank you.
Yeah, okay, yeah. Yeah, there were a lot of us. Oh, yeah, by the way, and, little afterthoughts, yeah. Yeah. You had a little time left, so you could have expanded a little more, but you got in under the time, and that's always good. Stand back a little bit so I don't have to keep adjusting the thing. Thank you. Tommy, great name. I liked your intro. It was creative, it was different, and you tied back to it with a hello and a goodbye, and it was charming, so that worked. Your thesis and preview was well done. We knew just exactly where you were going. You took a position. You said, yep, they're heading for depression. Boom. It was clear. As for your significant statement, you tried to sell us on the idea that some of us might want to go there, maybe not, but, it's big trade and athletics, and so you pulled out just about everything you could think of, and so you were selling it, and that's what I want you to do. So that was a good SIG statement. On your GDP, you quoted The Economist, one of my favorite magazines that has good credibility, from August 2015. This is kind of a tricky thing, and you had to give the statistic context, and you tried to do that by saying 1.5% seems like a little, but it really is big and a lot. So you tried to give it context, and then you came back with some additional comments, which were okay, but it'd be better if you had them in there to start with. Yeah. On your second reason on the credit cards, it would be useful to know, is it 70, 80, 90% interest, and is their consumer economy being dragged down by the inability of people to buy things on credit and that sort of thing, and then some perhaps you had the Christian Dijanja in the Time magazine quote, but it would have been interesting to note just what the impact of the inability of consumers in Brazil to purchase would have been. On your third reason, from the LA Times, January 2015, yes, the state run everything down there is corrupt, and the oil company was an excellent example where, billions come up missing. And I would have stressed that word a little bit more emphatically. When you watch yourself on YouTube, you see you're a little bit mellow about this whole thing. Oh, there's 4 billion missing. Whatever. And the same with, you put in the I feel strongly about this, but I didn't get the strong feeling on your feeling statements each time. Summary, conclusion, and tie back were excellent. Okay. Your goals. Okay, here you now understood them correctly. You want to make sure you made good eye contact, breathe deeply, and stay composed and enunciate clearly. How'd it go?
I felt like I could have made more eye contact. I felt like I was looking over there and over there sometimes.
Okay.
So I don't know if that went well.
Okay. Good.
I felt like I was breathing fine. I felt a little nervous, so I wasn't composed at all points. And then I was saying a lot, and so I don't think I enunciated that well either.
Okay. Yeah. One thing I was worried about, but you I guess maybe you got my nonverbal. You walked late, but you finally did walk.
Yeah.
You thought, oh yeah, I'm supposed to walk, so you walked late. First goal, on your eye contact, let's do a little exercise. Put your card in your pocket. And let's start over here with this young lady. And I want you to tell us and talk, and just stick your hands behind your back. People think you have a gun back there.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, remember officers always want to see your hands, right? Yeah, okay. So tell her about your morning, and I'll tap the desk when you can move on to this gentleman and to this lady. Okay, but I'm going to give you 5 seconds, and if you blink, I start the time over again. So no blinking. Okay? So start and tell her about your morning. Okay.
I woke up a bit late today, and I started working out. And do I tell them the same thing?
Keep going. Just keep going.
Oh, okay. So after I worked out, I went to go eat a bagel. And
Keep going.
and they had cream cheese on it. Okay. The bagel was really good. After that, I went to my computer, studied a little bit. Studied for my midterm, which is tomorrow in another class. And yeah.
Okay, and you feel the difference?
Yeah.
That's about how long I want you to look at people.
Okay.
And not systematically, but over back and forth, where you see people kind of zooming out, Anthony's back there in his own world and so forth. And bring them in with your eye contact, okay? On your breathing deeply, take a deep breath. If you find yourself, your breath getting shallow, just take a deep breath in the middle of your speech, and that'll clear out that shallow breathing. Yeah, the uhs and the ahs, yes, they were there, but they will go with practice. And if you practice more aloud with a live person, you'll do better. Thank you. Good job, Tommy. Okay, next. Yeah, we can get one more. And what do you think? Maybe? 8 minutes. Can we get you in 8 minutes?
Mine is exactly 7 minutes.
Okay, well, let's go for it. You have to leave immediately. Okay, rock and roll.
Am I good here?
Okay, just a minute. No, you just step forward. Okay, yeah, ooh, I can't see it. We're about to hear an extemp on is war on the horizon due to China's involvement in the South China Sea.
Hi everyone, my name is Vahag.
Hi, Vahag.
Many years ago, in the 1920s, people thought that the Great War, also known as World War I, was going to solve all the world's problems, and in the future we're not going to have any more wars. But the world did not learn its lesson, and history repeated itself. Along came the 1940s, and millions of more people suffered and died. Today, many scholars argue that the United States and China are on the rise and heading towards another large-scale war, similar to World War II, except much, much extreme. However, I strongly believe that this will not occur, and I'm going to discuss how China's involvement in the South China Sea will not lead to this war. Today I'm going to answer the question of whether war is on the horizon due to China's involvement in the South China Sea. I strongly believe that war is not on the horizon due to three main reasons. The first one being economic interdependence, the second one being the open and ongoing communications between Beijing and Washington, and the third, the catastrophic effects of a large-scale war. Now you may be asking, why is this significant and why should I care? Well, the United States has not faced opponents such as China and Asia before. Many argue that Japan was a powerful state in the 1940s and in World War II, but China is far more powerful. It has an economic might that Japan did not have, and a large-scale population which can easily transition into military power. Now in the World War II, we saw what happened when a powerful state in Asia rose. Japan was able to launch the first attack on US soil in over 200 years, that being the attack on Pearl Harbor. Now if China, which is estimated to be about 5 to 10 times much more powerful and capable than Japan was, imagine what kind of attacks that would occur on the US homeland. However, I strongly believe that this will not occur, and I'm going to explain why. The first reason why I believe that this will not occur is due to the concept of economic interdependence. Economic interdependence is a liberal international theory which argues that global trading partners who are heavily invested in each other's economy will not go to war due to the impact it will have on their economy. Now, China is a labor-based economy which is heavily reliant on corporations shifting their bases over to China, establishing their bases, and taking advantage of the cheap labor. China, on the other hand, is able to employ its large-scale population on very cheap labor, and both the US and China are able to grow significantly. Furthermore, China and the US are each other's largest trading partner. Last year alone, the bilateral trade value of both states was $590 billion. Furthermore, China is the largest purchaser of the US debt. Now, you may be asking, why would they purchase the US debt? Why are they investing in us? Well, China is reliant on our economy. When our economy does well, their economy grows as well. So they don't want to have a collapsing US dollar, because if the US is doing trade with them, they're also going to suffer, right? So that's why they're heavily invested. In the South China Post in June 2015, an article was written titled "Economic Interdependence Underpins Peace Between China and the US." Now in the article, the author uses the concept of economic interdependence and discusses why the war is highly unlikely between these two states. Now the second reason why I believe that war is not on the horizon due to China's involvement is because of the open and ongoing peace talks between Beijing and Washington. China became a global power in Asia by simply avoiding all conflicts and rising slowly. Now, since they have become much more powerful and economically capable, they're shifting the stance. They have taken action in the South China Sea, which is a key islands there that they want to hold because of resources and also trading routes known as straits. However, its opponents, its neighboring states such as Japan, Vietnam, South Korea, Singapore, and India all disagree. Recently, whenever China laid claim to these islands, the United States sent warships and fighter jets. And I don't know if many of you guys have seen in the news, a U.S. fighter jet actually flew over this area, right. And the Chinese Air Force official was claiming that this is their sovereign territory, you have no right being here. And they went back in childish dialogue saying this is free airspace, we could do whatever we want. So this shows U.S. disagreement. However, we know that disagreement and ignorance is not going to solve a global scale problem. You need compromise. Fortunately, Barack Obama, John Kerry, and also the president of China, President Xi Jinping, are well aware of this, and also other diplomats. Therefore, there have been held key UN peace talks, as well as ongoing negotiations between the Asian states in order to solve this issue. An international scholar, Barry Desker, argues that China is well informed and they have a key to communicate with the United States, because whatever they have built over the past 50 years will go to waste if they go to a large-scale war. Now, the third reason why I believe that war is not on the horizon due to China's involvement is because of the catastrophic effects of a large-scale war. Both states are well aware of what happened in World War I and World War II. Now, China is much weaker than the US when it comes to military power. The US spends more money on its military than the next 8 countries combined. Chinese officials are aware of this, and they're not going to rush into a war and lose all the progress they've made in the 50 years. If they rush into a war and they lose, which is highly likely that they will lose, their economy is going to suffer, and its large-scale population is going to suffer. Furthermore, John J. Mearsheimer, a prominent international scholar of our time, actually the most famous one of our time, argues in his book, The Tragedy of Great Power Politics, that if China does decide to go to war with the United States, that it's going to face a coalition made up of the United States, Japan, Vietnam, South Korea, India, and Singapore. And this does not even include the Western powers such as Britain, France, and Germany. Now, if this is the case, China will lose immediately, and it will destroy what it has built over the years. In summary, I have discussed 3 key reasons why I believe war is not on the horizon. The first one being the economic interdependence between the 2 states. Number 2, the ongoing and the willingness of the 2 states to communicate. And number 3, the catastrophic effects of a large-scale war. In conclusion, there should be no doubt in this room that in the future we are to see a long-lasting peace between the United States and China. Therefore, my wish for you guys is that whenever you hear politicians in the future or currently making bold claims that the United States is losing to China and that we are losing to every state, that you take this with a grain of salt. Because every country is working towards progress. No country wants to be left behind. They're trying to improve the daily lives of their citizens. Therefore, I hope in the future we will not see a World War III, and that the saying that history repeats itself is false in this scenario, because I do not want to see the lives of millions of people go to waste in a large-scale war. Thank you.
6:59. Woo!
Hi, I'm Brianna.
Hey, Brianna.
Hi, Brianna.
Overall, I think you delivered a great speech. I think that you came off as incredibly credible just in your delivery alone, because you made eye contact, your hand gestures weren't overpowering, and your points were relevant to the topic. Good job.
Improvement.
Well, I thought it was well organized, but I have 2 critiques. One being that you tried to make eye contact, but I often saw, and maybe it might just be the angle, I was sitting here looking at you like this, but it seemed like you're trying to avoid eye contact. A lot of the time you're looking at the floor, or looking like in that area or there. So looking at someone in the face, so just straight at you, making sure your eyes lock. My second thing would be just from a technical standpoint, the point you made with Mearsheimer, he's a realist. He called for a Cold War. So if your audience knows, it kind of seemed, because he thinks that a Cold War is going to break out, but you're saying that there won't be a war. So I guess the source was questionable, but to an audience that doesn't know a lot about this whole South China Sea issue, it might not matter much, but I guess that's...
To you it did. Yeah, good. Let me quickly go through this because we're out of time. You wanted to not use a flashcard. You didn't. Speak confidently and be persuasive. I would say you packed a little bit too much into this and you were going a little too quickly. Work on an emphatic style of delivery. I'd like to see 2 more eye contact for you. I thought your thesis was well supported, well written, and well argued for a general audience, with this caveat in mind.
I could offer him a rebuttal, but I'll say that.
Yeah, of course. As far as stickiness goes, I thought this was a simple thesis, that you had 3 simple points that you supported it with. On your, what was unexpected in this speech?
Well, I would say that many people don't think of, well, at least if they're not a poli-sci major, they don't see China as a threat, even though that we always say that we're losing to them. But many people don't foresee a future where China can dominate the world.
Yeah.
And many people don't, since the U.S. has been what many call Western hegemony, their security is not threatened. Therefore, a rising power in Asia can pose a threat, such as happened in the past in World War II. So I try to make the effect that, well, I incited sort of fear, but then I'm also trying to calm that fear down because I think fear is a attraction grabber, and it's also one of the biggest motivators. So that's what I try to use.
Okay. Maybe some more unexpectedness would have been helpful. A little bit more storytelling would have been helpful. What about your emotional connection? Big thing.
I would say the historical deaths that I've taken, and also maybe the fear again.
Okay. More emotional connection, but a really excellent job. Delivered extemporaneously. You really knew your business. Thank you. Okay, our work is done. Return